Picture this: a fleet humming along, trucks rolling, deliveries are on time. Sounds smooth, right? But behind the scenes, one sneaky culprit could derail it all: fuel. That's where today's guest comes in. Meet Bri Perry Lang, Product Marketing Manager at Fleetio. She's here to help us understand how fuel management isn't just about saving pennies at the pump. It's about keeping your fleet from springing a very expensive leak.
Fuel is one of the biggest expenses in any fleet. Small leaks can turn into big costs, and that's where fuel management comes in. It's really just a strategy designed to monitor and control fuel usage and costs. It's keeping tabs on where your fuel is going, how much you're using, and whether any of it is being wasted. And when I say wasted, I mean from idling, things like underinflated tires, poor routing, even a vehicle that's overdue for maintenance.
Now, when Bree says fuel management, don't picture a guy in a cape guarding the gas pumps. Think of it more like a budget-friendly detective, sniffing out where your fuel is going, what's wasting it, and how to stop it before costs balloon. Spoiler alert, the usual suspects include idling, bad routing, and yes, even those underinflated tires you keep meaning to fix.
Fuel data can help catch a worn out vehicle or a preventative maintenance schedule that needs to be improved before it turns into vehicle downtime. It's not just about saving money on gas, it's also about staying ahead of bigger problems. Whether you've got 5 vehicles or 500 or 5,000, if fuel isn't something you're actively managing, you might be spending more than you need to.
Fuel data isn't just about dollars and cents. It's a crystal ball for your fleet. A vehicle that's suddenly guzzling gas? That could be a maintenance red flag waving at you. Ignore it and you'll pay in downtime later. And nobody's got time for surprise breakdowns.
And fuel management sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do that when your drivers are fueling up at a bunch of different places? So let's say drivers are using random gas stations in different cities. The key, if you're just trying to start, is to create just enough structure to give yourself visibility. Even starting with fuel cards gives you a way to track where fuel is being purchased, how much, tie it back to a driver and a vehicle. If you already have GPS or telematics, that can take it even further. So you can actually line up routes and behavior with the purchases. And even if you're just working off spreadsheets right now, that's totally okay. The point is to start somewhere. The savings come from spotting patterns, and you can't spot what you can't see.
If your drivers are filling up at random gas stations with a mix of receipts, forgotten logs, and maybe the honor system, congrats! You've unlocked Fleet Manager Chaos Mode. The fix? A little bit of structure. Even starting small with fuel cards gives you the superpower of visibility. And once you layer in GPS and telematics, suddenly it's less a guessing game and more data-driven clarity. All right, let's address the awkward elephant in the fuel bay: theft. Yeah, it happens, but thanks to data, you don't have to play bad cop. When a fill-up magically exceeds a tank's capacity, that's your cue to raise an eyebrow, not point fingers. Data keeps the conversation fair and fact-based, not fueled by accusations.
Yeah, now for the uncomfortable topic, fuel theft. The reality is that it happens, but you never want to jump to conclusions. However, sometimes something doesn't add up and you need to be able to look at it without creating unnecessary tension. And this is where data becomes your best tool. You're not pointing fingers. You're saying, hey, this fill up doesn't match the average MPGs for this vehicle. Or maybe this purchase exceeded the tank capacity. Let's check that out. You can start a conversation without making a direct accusation. And sometimes it is theft. One example is a fleet manager with around 250 vehicles shared that he received an alert one morning that a fuel up for his truck had exceeded its listed tank capacity. At first he thought maybe he inputted it wrong. Maybe the capacity was entered wrong in the system. He dug into it, looked at the data, tracked it for a little bit, and then realized that for a while the truck was averaging like 3 miles to the gallon. Eventually it became clear that a driver had been fueling up personal vehicles, and it had been happening for a while. And that's a really hard discovery. But without fuel cards, automatic alerts, and usage data, it might have gone on even longer.
Case in point. Say you discover some math not quite adding up and discover a driver filling up personal vehicles. Without alerts and data, this little side hustle could have run for miles longer. The takeaway? Data is like your trusty dash cam. It's proof when you need it most.
18% of Fleetio customers have reduced fraud or misuse just by tightening up how they track and verify fuel transactions. We can extrapolate that just outside of Fleetio, so customers who have something in place. Industry-wide, fuel theft accounts for 5 to 10% of a fleet's total fuel spend. At the end of the day, fuel data protects the people who are doing the right thing and gives you a fair way to address the outliers. It makes hard conversations easier, and sometimes it gives you the proof that you need to even start that conversation in the first place. When it comes to fuel data, a lot of fleets are not starting from a clean slate. There's paper receipts, missing entries, odometer readings that are guessed instead of accurately logged, and so on. Well, you want all that historical data in a new tool you're setting up. The reality might be to use what you have and just start fresh. It's harder to realize instant actions to take when you have to do something like that, but it does create a line where indefinitely I can trust the data from this point on. And sometimes that can be even more important when you're trying to set up a really strong fuel management program. You can always audit it later, but again, if your focus is on setting up a system that's going to help you, focus on implementation and training for accuracy. Worry about cleaning up past data when you can get to it.
Quick PSA, there's a world of difference between company credit cards and purpose-built fuel cards. One is a blunt tool, the other is laser-focused. With fuel cards, you can limit usage, track odometers, and pair purchases with telematics. Translation, you're not just seeing what was bought, you're understanding why that fuel burned in the first place.
For fleets still using company credit cards, there is a big difference between that and a purpose-built fuel card. With fuel cards, you can control where it's used, you can track the odometer, cards are assigned to vehicles, it's really tailored for the job. Plus, you can pair fuel cards with telematics. So you're not just seeing what got purchased, you're understanding why you're burning through fuel. As an example, is it harsh braking? Is it idle time? Are certain drivers using twice as much as others for the same route? Fleet managers can proactively coach smarter when they have insights into that behavior. There's a lot of software out there to find something that works for your process and price, but one piece of advice that I hear from fleet managers is that no matter what you're procuring, make sure you account for your systems connecting. So whether that's fuel data, telematics, or maintenance data, making sure as much of that flows into one system as possible is going to be the most beneficial. As far as the impact changes can make on your fuel strategy, it depends a lot on what industry you're in or the vehicles in your fleet. But I regularly see customers with 200 or 300 assets spending $50,000 to $60,000 a month on fuel. And I've seen that a lot higher as well, again, depending on what industry they're in. And that all adds up really fast. So even a small improvement, let's say 2% savings on that, that's $12,000 to $14,000 a year, easy. And that's money that you can reinvest into whatever moves the business forward. And the data backs it up. Nearly half of Fleetio customers say they've reduced fuel costs just by getting better insights into vehicle economy. So it's not hypothetical. It is very real, measurable ROI that adds up month after month.
Here's the math that makes fleet managers sit up. Fleets spending $50,000 to $60,000 a month on fuel can see tens of thousands in annual savings with just a 2% improvement. That's not pocket change, that's new tech, upgraded equipment, or maybe finally springing for better coffee in the break room.
Fuel management isn't about micromanaging teams. It's about setting up systems that give you clarity and give your team consistency. It's about helping the whole operation run smarter.
At the end of the day, fuel management isn't about policing your drivers. It's about giving your team tools, clarity, and consistency so the whole operation just runs smarter. And as Bri showed us, even small steps, a card here, a spreadsheet there, can add up to big results. Want more? Check out our videos and more information from our Fleet 101 series from WorkTrack. We'll see you on the road.